Hey guys, how's it going? Wanted to do a complete step-by-step guide on getting WordPress running in a Docker container on an external host. A lot of guys out there have Docker running locally on the developer machine, but I'm going to do mine in a externally hosted server. This is my Dell R610 running ESXi. I've created a virtual machine here, and I'm about to install Ubuntu 18.04 on this. The virtual machine only has a single CPU, 4 gigs of RAM, and a 16 gigabyte hard drive. Does not need to be very robust. After we've verified all of our settings, we're not going to install any snap packages. I will go ahead and pause here and see you guys right after this is done installing. Once it's done installing, we'll go ahead and set up the rest of the system for Docker. Okay, the system is done installing. We're going to go ahead and reboot it now. Once this fully reboots, we'll go ahead and log into the server and get its final IP address so that I can SSH into it, and we will be able to copy and paste some commands. So as you can see, it's pretty quick. It doesn't take much time at all. Let's go ahead and just jump in and get the IP address of this machine real quick. So it's right here, .30.5. I'm gonna go ahead and copy my SSH key over just to make it easy for later, and then what we'll go ahead and do here is jump into it. Okay. So, as you can see, pretty easy to get the virtual machine itself up and running. First thing you want to do is run a update just to make sure everything is up to date. This shouldn't take too long at all, especially with a good internet connection. After we've updated, we're going to go ahead and install docker.io. And we'll let this run. Once Docker is fully installed, we're going to start working on getting Docker Compose, and then I will show you the Docker Compose file that we're going to use. Feel free to customize that YAML file and make it however you want. This is just going to be a brief demonstration. Okay, so we have Docker Compose installed and Docker. What I like to do is I like to stay organized. So I'm going to create a directory called projects. I'm going to go into that directory and then create another directory called WordPress and also go into there. So now I have two directories here. This is just how I like to do things. You don't have to do it this way. Next, what we're going to do is we are going to create our YAML file, which will contain the instructions for Docker to actually launch our WordPress site. So I'm going to call mine stack.yml, and I'm going to copy and paste So I'm going to set paste in Vim, insert mode, and then right click. So this is the YAML file that I see online that most people are probably using. I made a couple modifications. Again, these you could check out the official Docker images for MySQL and WordPress, since that's what we're going to be using. Not going to be using phpMyAdmin, which is a front end for MySQL. You can do that if you'd like. I am going to just use MySQL. So let's go ahead and cover this. We got some services here. Obviously, the first one is going to be WordPress. The depends on statement will require the database or DB service, which will be using MySQL. Basically, we will be taking this volume in this directory, so /projects/WordPress, called WP content, and mapping that to the var www.html folder of the Docker container. And then, of course, in order for us to access it from a external location, we're going to need to do some port forwarding. Again, I'm just mapping port 80 to port 80. I'm not too concerned about what ports are open on this machine, as I will be using a reverse proxy to do some virtual domain hosting. And I'm going to leave all the other settings as default. We got the database host, which is here, DB. The database user will just be exampleuser, examplepass. You'd want to set those up a little bit more secure. However, I think for demonstration purposes, this is just fine. So, with that done, the only thing left we have to do is run docker compose. We will go ahead and specify the file with tac F up, and then tac D to daemonize it. That'll put it in the background. So let's go ahead and run that command and let it install and pull the images from Docker. Okay, everything should be good to go there. So the first thing that happened there was the database got created and then WordPress launched. We can go ahead and verify everything is up and running with a sudo docker ps, and you can see here that everything looks good. Its status is up. So let's go ahead now and verify that this is working. So I'm going to head to the IP address of my container, and it does look like everything was set up and is ready to go. And that is it as far as getting WordPress set up in a Docker container on a server. Thank you very much.